Hi, and welcome to Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. We have a great segment today for the residents of Montgomery County. We have Mr. Isiah Leggett, our county executive, on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little about some of the things that are going on in Montgomery County.
Well, we've just announced the big retention of Marriott in Montgomery County, which had been a real concern for me for at least the last year. Marriott brings in about 3,500 jobs. It's now the largest hoteler in the world. And as a result of their decision to stay in Montgomery County, there's a great deal of relief for us. And so we are now working to put the final touches on that location and deal with the land use issues associated with that. We continue to wrestle with the big challenges of transportation. As you know, the Purple Line has been delayed as a result of a lawsuit, and we are working on a number of transportation initiatives around the county. We continue to have challenges related to the increased enrollment of students in Montgomery County. Almost 3,000 this year, and that has been a trend for the last 4 or 5 years, and is likely to continue for a period of time. And so there are challenges as it relates to transportation that we want in terms of funding the Purple Line. We are working aggressively with the state to resolve some of the challenges related to how we deal with the number of students in the county, and of course the positive news about the economic side with Marriott.
One thing that just got passed is something referred to as term limits.
Right.
In Montgomery County, one of the few counties I think in the country, as I understand it, that has done that. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's been somewhat of an issue in Montgomery County in the past, and it failed. And it failed for, I think, a number of reasons in the past. But this time, I think it was a question of timing. You know, in politics, things are really tied to timing. Timing at a time when we had a big push for change, not just here locally, but nationally. So the referendum comes up right at that time in a presidential election, which is the theme is about change. Secondly, this initiative was different from the ones that we've had in the past. In the past, it's been a 2-term limit. This was a 3-term limit. And so for many people, that didn't sound so outrageous. So you combine the timing with a message, and also the view that many people had that there have been some mistakes at the local level. The decision by the council to increase taxes a little bit higher than people had anticipated, a decision to, in effect, increase the pay for council members, and also added in the recordation tax. So you combine all of those things together, the timing, the message itself, and the view of some mistakes at the local level. You combine all of those things together, I think it made it ripe for a passage of term limits this time.
And do counties in other areas of the country look at that being passed and say, well, maybe we should do it, or does it work like that?
Well, this is not the first one, it's not the last one. That it sort of died down for a period of time because there was a national move about 10 or 12 years ago from not only just in the local election, but the congressional elections as well, to put term limits on virtually everything. And it died down for a period of time. It may be revived again, given the mood of the country, to suggest that people no longer want people who've been in office for long periods of time. There's a big push for change. And so this, along with some of the other things that is happening around the nation, may give a new impetus for that movement.
Another thing that I was going to talk about is when you first got in your first term, there was change in the quantity of employees, so to speak. And I'm just wondering, how does that work in terms of there being very important decisions that affect a lot of people in the public sector compared to how it works in the private sector?
Well, first of all, it was a very big decision for me because I came into office in the midst of a recession. And clearly people want jobs. There's a lot of anxiety about that. And having to substantially reduce the county government workforce is something that you don't do lightly because it affects people's lives. And there were 1,253 people that we eliminated, or positions we eliminated, along with people in those positions. That was pretty difficult to do. The thing of it is with the public sector, you're doing it in public. So people are actually reading about the decisions that you're making that affect their lives. And you don't have that luxury to sort of put this aside and deal with it much more privately. So that's a big factor that in and of itself. Secondly, it is tied to a transparency of finances. You know, I looked at it and said, well, if we want to provide the services, if we want to ensure that we not increase taxes substantially, we need to pare down the size of county government. And so I did so by the tune of 10%. that's a fairly large number, and we did it in a relatively short period of time. And so, you don't have the kinds of pressures that you may have in the private sector. You're accountable certainly to your to the employers, and you're accountable to your stockholders. But here, it's a public discussion, excruciatingly difficult to deal with. And you're talking about people who you see each and every day who are dependent upon you, to provide services, but also dependent upon you to make sure that government runs efficiently and effectively.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That's very good. Another thing we have going on, change in the presidential politics. Any comments for us as we follow that?
Well, we're talking about change. There was a pretty drastic change for an awful lot of people in this country. I tend to take a wait-and-see attitude. We fought hard and long in the election. It is something that we need to now get about govern the country. I, along with other people, certainly would have wanted a different result, but the people have spoken. And so we need to make sure that in terms of the commonality that we all are looking for, in terms of things that we want from a government to work and work well, that I hope that the campaign rhetoric and some of the past statements that have been made are behind us, and we are about the governance for this country, because we simply can't afford to make major mistakes given what is at stake around the world. And so I'm hopeful that we will have positive results, and that we will come together and continue to build a nation that is on the benefit for all people, and that the new administration will work on behalf of all residents and citizens of this great country.
Good. Going back to Montgomery County specifically, so how is our economy doing, especially with your comments on the Marriott decision?
Well, it's doing good, but certainly I think we can do better, and we've strived to make certain that we, in fact, do better. Our unemployment rate is really very low. It has been either the top or the lowest or next to the lowest in the entire state of Maryland, well below the national average. We continue to grow jobs in the county. One of the things that I'm looking at is to make sure we grow the right kinds of jobs in the county, and so we have a real effort to retain jobs, especially small businesses in the county. I've made a decision about 2 years ago to move the county outside of the area of economic development and put it in the hands of the private corporation of business people who I believe can make the county far more competitive. And so we have an approach now on economic development that I think is good. We have some great successes of what we've done, and we've stabilized county government. We have sustainable budgets, hopefully going forward. We've gotten through the recession. And going back again to the question related to the change of administration, we have to have a wait-and-see attitude about how that would affect our federal sector, because that's such a large component of jobs in Montgomery County throughout this region. And hopefully that will be stabilized. But if we have a substantial change in that, either a major reduction or no increases, then that could have a profound impact on all of the jurisdictions throughout the Washington region.
Very good. Lots more to cover. We have Mr. Leggett here, County Executive of Montgomery County. We'll be right back. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn.